You know, sometimes I love to get out of the hot, humid, sticky garage and put down the power tools and actually grab some crafting tools. So today, that's exactly what we're gonna do. We are making no-sew pillows. We're gonna make some t-shirts. We're gonna do some other things with vinyl, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. So today, we're gonna do the exploration of the Explorer 3. This is by Cricut. They're sponsoring this video. And if you love crafting, if you love making things for your home, for your kids, for your grandkids, you got to watch this video. So let's jump into it right now. So before we jump into the project tutorials, I'm going to show you a little bit of my favorite features and tell you some information about the Explorer 3. And one of the things that you'll notice here is that I've got my iPad. Why is that? Well, this thing is actually Bluetooth enabled, which means you can use it over here, over there. It doesn't matter because you don't have to physically connect this to your computer in order to be able to cut. That means you can take it anywhere, which is amazing. So opening this out of the box, everything is available for you. They have some samples so that you'll be able to start making some cuts right away. Also, the blade, one of the blades is in here, and I believe it comes with multiple different blades, as accessories that you can purchase, right? Depending on the projects that you're doing. So I believe this is the fine blade, and it literally just sits in there and just locks into place. That's it. Everything is set up. So when you open this up, the only thing that you have to do is push the button to open it, and you are ready to go. But the second thing that you have to do is connect it to the device, and that's pretty simple. You just go to where you download apps. It's a free design app. It's called the Cricut Design Space, and in there, that's where you can purchase, if you want to purchase, but there's a lot of free designs too, that you can find designs. You can create your own design as well. So the possibilities are endless of what you can create. So let's talk about some of the materials that you can cut. One of my favorites are the pens. And this is a great tool because if you're trying to do cards, like personalized cards or designs, literally all you have to do is open up the pens and stick them right inside of the pen holder. And then you can create amazing drawings just with pens and your Cricut. So there's a lot of things that you can do. One of my favorite things is using the vinyl and creating stencils. So I have done some projects where I've created huge stencils and then used craft paint in order to fill those in. And the crisp lines is amazing. Like just using regular stencils that you buy from the store, you never get as crisp of a stencil as when you use a Cricut and create your own vinyl stencil. So that's what I generally love. But let me walk you through some of the materials that you can use. You can actually do glitter iron-on. So just imagine t-shirts, personalized bags. Anything that you want to personalize, you can do it. There are over 100 different materials that you can use this for. Some of the ones that I really love, these are called the Cricut infusible inks. These are great because what it does, it's not like vinyl, it doesn't sit on the fabric, it actually infuses into the fabric. And so Cricut makes several infusible t-shirts like this one that you see here that's specifically designed for the infusible inks. And there's a lot of variety. So I've got one here that actually is like a pink, it's patterned, distressed berry, and it's pretty amazing. You can also cut stickers. And so I'm going to do a project later in this video showing you how to cut stickers and use the pens, the drawing pens, but you've got a variety of colors here. So it's just, the possibilities are endless. You can also use the Smart Vinyl. This is amazing because Smart Vinyl loads into the machine and you don't need a mat. There's some materials that you actually have to use a mat for. And that's not a problem, but just imagine being able to cut a lot of different things and not needing to put a mat underneath of it. So it just saves you one other step, and I love it. Oh, and another thing that's pretty cool is that these machines have extra storage space on board. So if there's materials or things that you want to store inside of your machine, they do have a couple of compartments that you can put some things there, and then it'll just store away easily with your machine. Okay, so now that we have covered the basics of the machine, let's jump into how to actually make this t-shirt. We're also going to talk about how to make no-sew pillows, and on those I'm going to do a demonstration of how to do the iron-on, and also we're going to do some spice jars and how to customize those. Okay, so let's jump into the tutorials right now. We're going to start with my favorite, the infusible inks. I love this. Now we're going to make a t-shirt, but remember, you can actually do the infusible inks on pillowcases. You can do it on mugs. There's a variety of blanks that they sell at the craft stores that you can do the infusible inks. Now it looks like it's brown here. Don't worry, the color is actually a lot more muted. But once you actually put the heat on it, it will turn the color that it's supposed to be. We're going to use a matte for this because remember, not all materials are smart materials. Some of them have to use a matte. So once it's peeled off the mat, very carefully peel the excess. So our design is going to say, trust the process, right? I'm working out, I'm getting strong, and I want to wear this shirt to remind me. So I'm peeling away all the excess. You'll notice that it's in the mirror image. That's the case for some materials because when we put the heat process to this, it will actually look correct. I'm going to use one of the Cricut heating pads and also the heating press. I highly recommend that you add this to your collection. You can use a hot iron, but I like this because you can set the temperature and it has a timer because some of the materials have different temperature requirements and times. And also, I don't have a lint roller, so I'm using a piece of tape to remove all of the lint. I'm placing this where I want it to be. I'm going to do like a left justification with a little bit of spacing between the words. And then I'm going to take one of the pieces of tissue paper, place it over the design, and use the heat press for 40 seconds at 385. Now remember, you want to make sure that you're putting something between that t-shirt because you don't want that ink to go through the shirt into the back of the shirt. So definitely follow the instructions. Cricut has a bunch of tutorials online on how to do it, but let me tell you, when you peel away that design, it looks so fresh and clean. I love the infusibles and I think you'll love them too. So let's move on to making the no-sew pillows. You'll need a piece of fabric for the front and one for the back, and it needs to be a little bigger than the size of your pillow form. For example, if you're doing a 16 by 16 pillow, you want to make it about 17 all around the square. And if you make it exactly the same size, it's going to be shoved in there. You can still do it, but it's going to be a little tighter and it's going to be more plump. Now, you would also do your design at this point, and you would put your design on before you construct the pillow. Now, I'm doing mine a little differently. I decided that I was going to do like a band of tan in the middle of the pillow, and I was going to use some of the silver glitter to do an iron-on that says, "Wake up sunshine." Now, I would have preferred white, but unfortunately I didn't have any white heat press, but I did have silver with glitter. So once that was heated on there for the specified amount of time, given the temperature, and I peeled that away, it actually came out pretty well. This is the first time that I've used a glitter heat press, and I really liked it. You can't read it too well, but I think it complemented the fabric. Next up, it was time to use the no-sew tape. You'll want to make sure that you're putting this shiny side face down on your fabric. Now, I wanted my pillow to look a little different. I wanted Wake Up Sunshine to be in the center of my pillow. And after putting on the iron-on, I needed to trim away the excess fabric. Now, I could have just measured this accurately from the beginning, but I just went ahead and started with cutting 2 pieces of fabric that were the exact same size. Now, what I'm doing here is just applying the iron-on tape to the edge of the fabric. Remember, I'm going to put the shiny side down. And for this, I'm going to use the heat press, but you can very well use an iron for this. And I think in some instances, an iron may work better because you may have to get into small spaces. I trimmed off the excess fabric along the no-sew tape and then did the same thing for the other side. Now remember, you could save fabric by not doing it this way. You could have cut a piece that was exactly the size that you needed, but you know, sometimes you make mistakes as you go along. That's the name of the game when it comes to DIY. But anyway, you'll see that I'm adding another piece of no-sew tape to the other side. And once those pieces of tape were on there, it was time to pull them off and reveal the shiny, sticky part that's left on the edges. You'll see that the center piece is laying face down, and I've got the right side of the fabric laying face down, and I'm going to line up those edges. And once you put some heat on this, either the heat press or an iron, it will start to fuse those 2 edges together. And this is how you're creating your seam without needing a sewing machine. You may find that there are some spots that didn't get quite enough heat. And if that's the case, turn it over, check it out, Does your seam look like it's closed all the way through? And if it's not, then go ahead and put some more heat on it to make sure that it's secure. You might want to let it dry for a couple minutes too before you check that seam. I've repeated this process for the other side, and with that fabric right side down, lining up those edges, applying heat, that was going to seal the other side. Now remember, we only need this to be about 17 by 17, and because I didn't properly cut the edges of my fabrics to be exactly the size that I needed, I had to do a little bit of additional trimming. But you see that now I've got this really cool stencil in the middle of my fabric. The next step is, with your pillow facing up, you're going to apply that no-sew tape along the entire perimeter of your pillow. Now remember, if you're not putting something decorative in the middle, like with an extra band of fabric or coordinating fabric, you won't have to do what I just did. You can just put your design, your stencil in the middle, and then add your no-sew tape all along. This is what's going to give you the sticky edges so that you can take the back side of the fabric and glue it to the pillow to make your pillowcase. Now you're only going to do this for 3 edges, but you're going to use either the heat press or an iron to secure those edges all along 3 of the sides. The bottom, you're going to leave open. Now you can do a little bit on the bottom, and you should have a reveal. This is so that you could put your pillow inside. Turn it inside out, and then you're going to take the edges and fold them under. This is where the opening is. And you should already have some tape there where you're going to be able to press that, and then that'll seal your pillow. This is where the sides could start to come undone, so it's good to let your pillow set, let it cool off, and then shove it in there. It can be a little challenging, and some of the no-sew tape may come undone, but you'll need to redo that. And this is where you'll need an iron because the heat press doesn't work here. You need something that has a little lip that you can put together those 2 edges there. And this is where it's helpful to not have a pillow that's too squished in there so that you've got enough space to use the edge of the iron. And if you need to use some pins, pin it together. And when you're done, it should look pretty good. Now, do I prefer a sewing machine? Of course. But for those who don't have sewing machines, this is a great way to be able to make a pillow and not have to have a sewing machine, just using your Cricut and some no-sew tape. I also used some iron-on because I had some extra fabric to make another pillow, and I love the quality of this. Now, of course, I didn't have white, but I wanted to experiment with black, and I loved the quality of this, and it got me really excited to think about how to use this for future projects. The final project I'm going to show you with the Cricut Explore 3 is using the pin and the stickers in order to create some custom labels for some spice jars. Now, I'm going to go with white, even though, as I mentioned before, there's tons of colors you can choose, but white just had the classic, sophisticated look that I was looking for. And I went with a handwriting font with the pen because it just looks amazing. This is the first time that I've ever used the pen, and I can't believe that I've never made labels before. I mean, look at the way that it cuts it out so crisp and clean. So I peeled off those labels, put them on top of the jar, and I also wanted some labels for the front, but I wanted them to be in vinyl. And this is how this machine is so versatile, because you'll see that the vinyl that I'm using here was cut so thinly. This is a writing font, but the machine was able to handle it and it looked fantastic. Now, to get it off of that paper, I needed to use some transfer tape in order to pull it off and not mess up the font. So very, very carefully, you have to apply that transfer tape and then peel it off. Now, if you're doing a thicker vinyl, it's okay. It comes off pretty quickly, pretty easily, but here I sped it up because I had to take my time. Otherwise, it wouldn't have looked very nice. So take your time, place it onto your jar or whatever the surface is that you're applying the vinyl, and then peel the transfer tape off and it will leave the vinyl behind. This is the permanent vinyl that I'm using, and I love how these turned out. This is a great gift idea for someone who loves to cook, for the chefs in your life. And I can tell you, I cannot wait to get into the kitchen and use this. And I think I'm going to actually make myself a spice rack. So be looking out for that soon. So here's what I've got. I've got pillows, I've got t-shirts, I've got jars. There's so many things you can do with this. I love this machine so much, and I think you will too. So as you can see, there's so many things that you can do with this machine. Like I said, personally, I love this for stencils. I think it's like the best way that you can get a nice clean stencil, and I love it for stenciling. But there's so many other things that you can do, like the t-shirts, the labels. I mean, everything that you want to do to personalize in your home, you can do it with this machine. So find a link down below with more information. Look up some of the materials we talked about, the smart vinyl, whether it's permanent, removable, the infusibles, if you like to do t-shirts like I do, then there's so many things that are available for you to do whatever project you want to do. Okay guys, I will see you next video. All the links are down below. You can find more information at Cricut.com. A big thanks to them for sponsoring this, and I will see you next video.